There has been a fire reported in the building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building.
This is just a drill.
Fighting security. That's 19 security. Floor 2 is clear.
And we are back on Deciphering My Experience. My name is Eric, and we are joined today with Michael, who is also a 4D veteran, and here to talk about his experiences in his past. We had a slight conversation before this recording because we had massive technical difficulties, as usual. So we did get them all squared away, and we had a short conversation about some connections that we had made since last time we spoke, which has been fantastic. And welcome back, Michael, to Deciphering My Experience.
Well, thanks. And, you know, I think that you should share that thought, and I should share the dream. That, to me, gave me chills. The dream.
Okay.
If you want to go, if you want to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had just discussed this because this was a great connection that we had. And it goes, I guess, in addition to everything we're speaking, but I guess, I don't know, how would you want to start that?
Well, I guess I would just tell what I had the dream after I talked with you.
Okay.
It was, okay.
So,
And in that dream that I had after our first talk, and I kind of was lackadaisical on some of my abilities, and there was a being that was running around going right through walls. And I said, how do you do that? And once he showed me, I remembered that I could do that. But they were saying that there's someone trapped behind this, and it had been grown over with, you know, you put up conduit and such. So I ripped some of the stuff down, and I knew I only had a very small area to go into. So I grabbed a hold of the conduit and I swung back, and first time I went in, only went into the knees. Then I pulled up and I went as fast as I could inside, and there was a being in there I grabbed, and I put my hand through the wall to show, see, look, we can do this. And then I jumped through and I pushed him through, and I kind of inched out. And to me, it showed me, you forgot a little bit about your abilities to do this. Nothing's impossible. And then you popped up with your saying.
yep. Well, don't forget that there was more to your story. The reason you were going through the wall.
Yeah, there was someone in there that I had to get, and I thought it was, and afterwards I thought it was part of me, but I had to get in there because they were all saying it's trapped. And so, okay, I did it, and it was a small space, and it was about 2 feet thick of concrete. And when you go through not out of body or a different frequencies, like when you touch, it crackles. Sometimes it's like bacon, depending on what you're going through. And when I got the being out, then for me, it was like, oh, I can do this now.
You had just said 2 feet thick concrete right now, and you did not state that earlier technically, but I was absolutely thinking 2 foot thick concrete walls.
Oh,
this is very interesting to me.
Wow.
But so now, like you just said, this was your story that you just presented to me in this conversation this morning. You told me about this dream, and then I was very receptive to hearing it because I was getting goosebumps. When we ended the last video, you had said, let's try to connect on the dream world. And now you're now telling me that you had this dream. And then I responded to you that I can only hope that you believe me, that in the last conversation, when we were parting ways, I wanted to say to you, in the dream realm, if you could please try to find someone that is trapped and seems to need help. I wanted to say that to you at the time, but at the time I thought it was weird, an odd request, so I refrained. I did not ask Michael that at the time. But now he comes back and tells me this story, and I have no doubt in my mind happened. And I can only hope that other people can appreciate that these things happen as well. And earlier, when you were telling the story and you were talking about the ability to crackle through concrete walls, my immediate first thought was the concrete walls are 2 feet thick. And I mean, I'm a tradesman, so these aren't like things that I don't consider or have thoughts on.
Yeah, and
To pop to 2 feet versus 3 feet or 4 feet, I mean, these are things.
yeah, it just pops in.
Right. This is where I guess some folks would say that there is a resonant frequency to things.
To everything.
Correct?
Everything is.
You know?
Everything is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
That was
told me,
that was the out of left field connection that we had made. That
'cause I didn't know what you were asking.
I didn't technically
say it. You didn't say it.
I didn't technically ask.
Yeah.
Maybe I did.
Yeah, on different levels, if
Mhm.
there's that connection, it's shared.
Mm-hmm.
Because truly we're not separate.
Correct. There's a lot of when you get into these timelines and these techniques and technical devices that can manipulate them, you really, when you start to pay attention to storylines and interactions, it's really which came first, the chicken or the egg situation can happen very fast.
Yes.
And that's going to be something that's going to be challenging for folks to wrap their heads around.
Some people can't. It could, and if it keeps coming towards them, if they don't get around someone that could converse on the same level, they can go insane.
Mm-hmm. I guess in a way, which came first, the chicken or the egg, would be similar to where's the start and the end of the circle.
Exactly.
And then same thing,
yeah.
Storylines and timelines. Kurt Gödel, I think it was, uses the description of timelines where it's a mug where they show, almost like a pipe, a conduit, right? And it's a vertical ascent of time moving upward. But then they call it the coffee mug because there's like a handle coming off the side, where it comes back around itself.
That sounds good.
Where we can have closed time loops, it's a way of describing it. As a plumber, I think of it as a hydronic monoflow heating system where you have a primary loop, which would be your primary circulation, your main time function, so to say. But then off of the monoflow loop, you would have separate distribution zones that would plumb right back through. So you would have the primary loop, your secondary. One's a slave to the other. Is it separate? Is it part of it? I mean, it is and it isn't.
Yeah, with some of the time loops, or one of them that I went through with another guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we went in, and it was almost like going into a back alley, and there was some pretty dark stuff. And I forget what I had to take care of something, but I can't remember what it was. And I came back out the door that I went in, and so did he.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of turned around, and the door was gone. And I'm asking a lady that came by, I said, wasn't there a door there? And she said, no, there's never been a door there.
Mm-hmm.
Only the ones that go on the time loop know they've been through a time loop. For others, it didn't exist. And that one was more for my own abilities, to take care of something within me. And I can't remember what it was. But
I want to throw something at you with the time loops. Back to our last conversation, you had mentioned that you remembered reading in your dreams. And that was a massive trigger for me, actually. I've had a lot to think about since that conversation because of that. And rewriting my memories, basically. I think you can kind of understand that, where you re-recollect how things went down because I'm not a kid anymore. So
exactly.
Adult way of looking at it. Knowing that the technology exists to look forwards in time, knowing that I was in these groups as a child And when you said that reading thing, I remembered that as a dream thing, but I'm going to go further to suggest that this is one of those moments where our memories are off a bit. I think that was a moment where, as a child, I was sent to look forward in time at myself, which makes sense to these sciences. They take the children, they put them in the technology, they give them some technique training, and it seems that they have the children look forwards into their own future. And
I was,
I think the reading that I remember doing in my dreams as a child was actually just me as a child remote viewing into my future to a time period at which I was a voracious reader of a massive library of counterculture topics and sciences and all kinds of things. So, having exposed my brain in my youth to the things that my brain is now versed in, I think makes a bit more sense as to why my brain is versed in it and which came first, the chicken or the egg. I seem to have a keen understanding of a whole bunch of things my entire life, and asked a book collection to support what I already knew.
yeah, it's confirmation.
I know.
Confirmation.
Yeah.
And when you just said that about the future, I remember sitting at the desk as a boy and looking at, they were trying to teach me how the frequencies are holding the earth in place.
Mhm.
Okay, in this density. What's happening now is the entire earth is moving on in frequency, and it's creation. We're at the end of the play, and the lower frequencies can't exist. They're moving up.
Mhm.
But I remember seeing that and reading about it in a child, that this is just an experiment and we're holding it here for a while. And now I know it's hands out. It's the planet's moving up,
Mhm.
and it's taking it. It's gonna scare a lot of people who hold on to control issues and such,
Mhm.
because we're never really in control. You know,
Right.
So,
The night job realm be terrifying to a lot of people to have that much ability.
yeah.
And there are certainly times that you can find it is scary, you know, absolutely.
Yeah.
But to the creative mind, like you said, anything can be accomplished.
Yes. It's only to the limit of our own awareness.
Mhm. I think there's quite a few fistful of children like ourselves that have been exposed to things that have a greater awareness. And I really feel like there is some sort of technology or technique that is wearing off something, or that we accomplished something as bold little kids, not being well, and yet being given a bunch of extra special powers.
That what I've realized in my lifetime, I've been in major car wrecks, motorcycle wrecks where I'm hit by a car, ripped the whole left side off, or the right side off, where my foot peg was and the brakes on that side, but it didn't touch my leg. The only thing that happened, I bruised my shoulder.
Yeah.
And these things I look past, in my past, I should have been dead 4 or 5 times, at least.
I've been contacted by other people, and I have spoken about this privately. I don't know if I've spoken about this publicly, technically, but this has happened to me many times. When you're saying that you've come out unscathed,
Yep.
Can't even begin the laundry list of times that I should have lost an arm,
Yes.
had crushed, walked out of a wreck that everybody in the scene thought
You're dead.
had to be dead.
Yeah.
And I literally walked right out. I collapsed, but I said, I'm okay. And I have also gotten out of harm's way with people and gotten them out of harm's way. And I had, at one point in time, had a person witness, I guess, me switching out. And when all was said and done, I evaded a massive accident. A whole bunch of other people got really wrecked out. And I performed I don't know what to say. I performed a freaking miracle to not get into this accident. Would have been what somebody else would have seen. From my perspective, let's talk about time dilation.
Yeah, and
because that's what happened. Basically, I saw an event that was about to occur, which was going to be a car screaming into my vehicle with a trailer behind it. So picture a full-size extended Chevy van with a 18-foot trailer behind it and a four-wheeler on it, and you just want to go camping.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it's a traffic-packed highway, cars everywhere. I'm talking to my passenger, driving, talking, and I look over, and over my passenger's shoulder, coming on the on-ramp into our highway laning, is a car that is going so freaking fast. There's something the matter. This car's going so fast, and it's in a collision course. It's going to slam right into the side of my vehicle. And I see this. I proceed to lock up my vehicle.
Oh, really?
Trailer, everything. It's required. I have to go to a full lockup to get this car from broadsiding me. I lock him up, and this car proceeds to scoot right across my bow and take out the car in the left-hand lane, slamming it into the divider, up into the air. I mean, this is the force of impact.
Holy cow.
See, to start spinning around with forward momentum, taking out everything in front of me. There's contact everywhere. Cars hitting and spinning.
At that speed, yeah.
We were probably doing 70 to 80 miles an hour when I locked him up.
He's probably doing a heck of a lot faster.
And he was going faster. So everybody's hitting each other, spinning around in front of me, and I was in the zone. I saw every bit of that. From the moment I looked over and saw that car coming on the on-ramp, there's a sound change that occurs. There's a and everything slows down.
I've heard that quite a bit in these type of, it's almost
really
like,
slow.
like you're protected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm incapable of making a wrong decision at that point in time. I am afforded enough time to make the right decision because things are now moving so slowly around me that my choices are effortless.
Yeah.
Of course, go that way. That's where the space is. And it's going to be there a while because it's going really slow. I'm not going slowly. I don't know what's going on, but I can make it through all of those things. In this particular instance, I made it through. I got beyond all of the crashed vehicles. I weaved through without contact, stopped my vehicle, went back to make sure that everybody was okay.
Everything in behind you. But
Everything's behind me.
You're towing a big, so you're long.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the long wheelbase axled Chevy vans they had back in the day. So it was even the long wheelbase extended van with a trailer.
Yeah. That's a big thing to do maneuvering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 miles an hour in a four-wheel lockup.
Yeah.
So I made sure everybody was attended to. I got back into my vehicle, and my passenger had a look of terror, anxiety, like everything, but in a way looking at me like, what was that? You know? And I said, I don't know. I said, I obviously didn't want to hit anything, you know? And she said to me, she goes, no. She goes, you were talking to me. And she says, in the middle of the sentence, she goes, you just smiled. And then went all crazy with the car because she didn't see what was going on.
Yeah, okay.
Her perspective was I was talking, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I just smiled and proceeded to go crazy with the car. And I had to explain to her, I said, you know, the vehicle was behind you, came over, that was the one that hit the car, blah, blah, blah. And I explained everything, and then she says to me, why did you smile?
That's good.
That's the thing. That's the power, the confidence.
It's the shift.
Smiled, correct. Because at that point, I turned on.
Yeah.
The greatest thing ever, I smiled because I knew. I was so happy that I saw that car. Because I knew without a doubt, I got this.
Yeah. That's really, I mean,
that's what people can't get.
It's your own ability, and it's like I would say, a consciousness connection to your higher selves or frequencies higher, where it's like, oh, I already see the whole event. It goes here, here, and here, and no big deal. Probably why you smile.
Yeah, it's gonna be all right. Someone's got to fix it. You're a tradesman. Have a familiarity with some things that I can discuss. You're familiar with 2-inch IPS piping, right?
Yes.
So I've been in rooms where a 2-inch high pressure gas cock popped off the pipe.
Oh shit.
Inside interior sub basement.
I'd run.
That is exactly what everyone else in the room did. They all ran out the door.
Yeah.
I ran to the pipe and put a new valve on. Because not one of them was going to make it out of that building if
it ignited, which probably would. Yeah. That's one thing within like being an electrician, you may get zapped, or you may get electrocuted, if you want to go there, but it's very rare. But when you talk about piping and doing plumbing on exotic chemicals, that's a no-go for me. That's where I stop.
There's almost no type of plumbing system that I haven't touched. Almost every type of chemical, almost every type of fluid transfer, heat exchange from this medium to that medium.
Exactly.
I've seen some horrible stuff.
That makes electricity easy.
I've worked at facilities, water distribution facilities, which I'm now learning have very shady histories. I've worked at a lot of water distribution facilities.
Like the bottled water?
No. Municipalities, towers.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Water towers and pump stations and things like that for distribution to millions and millions and millions of people. Caustic soda is a pretty ruthless chemical, and that's at the water treatment facilities. And the first time I started working with that stuff, had gone back to my shop to get some more tools and things because I was, sent out, shorthanded as usual. Thanks, boss. But that happened. So I ran back to the shop to grab some stuff, and I informed him that the guy on site doesn't even speak English. I said,
"Oh God,
I'm having a little bit of trouble figuring out the tasking." And I said, "But boy," I said, "there's a lot of danger signs and this and that." And I said, "I've never worked with caustic soda before." I said, "What's the, what do I do if I get this stuff on me?" And he just turns and he yells at me. He goes, "You don't get it on you." And I went, "Yeah, but what if I get it on me?" He goes, "You don't get it on you." And I said, "Okay."
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. We have a water plant here in Mount Shasta that I worked on. And I was there, and they literally stripped the water of everything. It has no minerals, nothing in it. And I don't know what type of cleanser they use or whatever, but this one girl came running into this area with a eye splash and such, and her whole face from here was starting to like
melt.
etch away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's caustic soda.
Yeah, and they had to get her to the hospital and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And this is bottled water.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, nasty
Yeah.
stuff.
The parts per million that they put for the caustic soda it's very low. But the concentrated form of it, it'll melt.
Yeah, it just instantly burned, you know.
Yeah, it'll go right. You pour a 5-gallon bucket on someone, they'll just melt.
Ugh. Well,
But
yeah,
well, that's a chemistry conversation.
well, it brings up a dream,
Okay.
and this one was one of the, in that, I'll call it my night job.
Mhm.
I'm an electrician, and it was break time, and the whistle blew. We all went back in to the complex, which was a chemical pumping, and I saw the computers, and they pumped chemicals in different directions and such. And I had to put large conduit across this wall, but it had pillars. And I said, you're going to give me more material to attach my conduit to. And I was talking to the foreman, and he was saying, no, we're not. And I go, no, listen to me. You're going to give me more places so I can hang, you know, because I'm going to have to pull wire through there, which is going to be much more heavier.
Mhm.
He got all pissed off. He was going to go walk in, talk to the big boss. So I followed him. And as I'm looking at the computers, and I can see that there's some hazardous conduits and stuff on the computer. All of a sudden, the alarms went off. And then evac. I started running out of the building, and to my left, a large tank had just erupted at the valve. I don't know if the valve was blown or if it was opened somehow, pressurizing and letting out. So I saw a guy there twisting to turn off the valve.
Mhm.
I knew he was already dead because he had it all over him.
Mhm.
I turned to my right and another one exploded. And I felt the first drop hit my shoulder. This is in my night job, painful.
Mhm.
I start running for the fence, and it must have been a controlled or very, very secure area because it had barbed wire and everything. I jumped over the fence, but I had to run through this water, which wasn't water. And I landed, and this nurse took me, put me on a bed, and there's smoke coming off my arms. I'm shaking. It's daytime. There was a guy that went past me in a full hazmat suit. If I saw him today, I would remember his face. That's how clear it was.
Mhm.
The nurse lifted my leg up, and I could see my femur bone, and my flesh was melting off. Fade to black. I go into shock. I pass out. I'm done.
Mhm.
And I woke up. It was nighttime, and my legs were all wrapped. And the nurse says, "Well, you were lucky. We didn't have to amputate." And I'm thinking, I didn't have any muscles left. She said, we cryo regenerated your legs. But here's the thing, you have to get up right now and start pumping the blood through your legs. That was the most painful thing I have ever experienced, even in this waking life. It was painful. So at times I wonder, you know, to look at my legs, there's nothing, no scars, no nothing. And I wonder the reality of it, how real it was.
Mhm.
You know, because this is a reality. There's other realities where I am still Michael.
Mhm.
And yeah,
This is that Bentov timeline stuff that I had mentioned to you.
yeah, I ordered the book.
Oh, excellent. So
Yeah, it
it
sounded
goes
pretty
along
good.
that idea of expanded consciousness and the idea that you could be doing both of these things technically on different planes, so to say. So to look at your leg on your left side right now and check for scars, Just because there's no scars doesn't mean that your memory is necessarily false. It could mean that it's just from that other dimension.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the most pain I've ever felt in my life,
Mhm.
and it wasn't in the waking state.
Right, right. I don't really know that I find pain in the waking state to be more than, I don't know, superficial. Like, stuff hurts, but it doesn't really hurt. Like, it's not really the end of the world. Like, I agree with you. Like, in the dreams, things seem to hurt a lot more.
Yeah,
And I get whacked in the face. I have a tendency to laugh. Like, even if you got a good shot in on me, I mean, it hurts, but I'm probably gonna laugh and go, "Wow, you got a good one in on me."
I'm kind of a smartass like that too.
Yeah, if I
I'm-
get hurt at work, I mean, I'm a tradesman too. Like, so you curse and you shake your hand after someone drops a cinder block on it.
Yeah,
It's just what are you gonna do?
yeah. It's always the thing of just walk it off, And it's funny. Yeah,
Uh,
your leg's broken. Yeah, just walk it off.
mhm.
That was the saying back in the day.
There's,
Just walk it off.
there's 2 times in my career that I've gone to the emergency room. One I was commanded to by my boss because I was attacked by a customer's dog. So for
Ouch.
yeah, just being safe, go to the emergency room, get yourself checked out. The other time was when I through a poorly wired home as a
Uh-oh.
as a plumber working on some copper piping. I found out that the copper was hot with 208.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I grabbed
Yeah,
a
they're
hold of
not-
the 208 line. So you can add that to my list of I have a constitution that wants to live.
yeah, there was
208.
actually,
And I
There's
crawled
actually-
out of that house and had to get into an ambulance. I had to be ambulatory.
well, they had to check, your heart may stop at any time.
Yeah.
Or if you got the burns.
I had some serious issues of my interior numbers were off, was the only thing that happened. My physical body was okay, but my fluids and interior chemicals were so off. I had like some sort of like a clinical fatigue for like 4 days or something like that.
Huh.
I got run over by a truck. Like I was physically okay,
Oh,
but
okay.
I had zero strength and stuff. I
Well,
couldn't.
it would be like pulverizing your everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it probably didn't even bruise.
No, I had no marks.
Yeah, it could be nasty stuff.
Mhm.
We have houses here. This lady called us up, and she was saying underneath her sink, her P-trap is glowing blue, and so we were right over there. I looked under it had none of the pipes were grounded, and it had moved just enough so you can see the arc of all the power going through it. And I said, let's turn off the power to the house right now.
This lady had a short going across her P-trap?
Yep. So I've actually
You've told me something I've never, ever heard, could possibly imagine. I wish I got that plumbing call.
that's as scary as shit. And
And now people wonder why I get electrocuted as a plumber.
exactly. They don't ground the cold water and it'll help with all the piping. There was an old house of my friend's mom. He wanted me to rewire the whole house. And so I'm starting to do things, and they had a big metal cabinet, the old cabinets in the master bath. And I took just my wiggy, it's just a wand, and I put it near it and it set it off. Then I took my tester and I put it to the drain of the tub and then touched and it had 120 on it. I'm going, oh my God. So I took a wall out and redid that whole thing. But yeah, it's amazing some of the stuff that you run into that scares the hell out of me, you know?
One of my favorites as a service plumber was going to people's homes to work on their boilers, and I would be going down the stairs. You know, the hall light never works because they can't reach the bulb, so the switch doesn't do anything. So you're walking down into a dark basement, and they're telling you, just reach along the wall. There's a switch there to turn the... And I can't tell you how many times I'm reaching along a dark wall, and all of a sudden you become privy to the fact that there's an electrical panel with the service cover off and everything.
Open.
Yeah,
Yep.
just slide your hand along my wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're old, they either lose the open or leave it open, and they don't put it back.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good for.
That's one of the most
electricity.
dangerous things in people's homes that they don't attend to. It makes me laugh.
I know, but it'll kill them.
Yeah. Yeah, look, those two wires have like 480 at them or something.
Some of the big ones, forget it.
Yeah.
If you touch it, you might wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah.
I try to avoid electricity as much as possible.
I respect it.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know that bolt right there,
Mm-hmm.
and you see, 350 MCN in it.
Mm-hmm.
That little bolt, it's not doing anything. It's not vibrating. There's no sound, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ground yourself to that, it'll probably blow parts of you off.
It's one of the most I don't know, almost triggering sounds, so to say, is that spark. That, someone racking a shotgun is going to get your
same thing.
These are certain sounds that get everyone's attention, and everyone knows what it is. Like a car in full lockup, hearing that sound gets everyone's attention.
Yeah.
Racking a shotgun gets everybody's attention. Spark arcing gets everyone's attention.
I've been around it in my life so long. I had construction guys, two brothers own a construction company, and they said, we're having problems with the outlet. And he goes, it's sparking sometimes. So it was metal. So I took my pliers and I just grabbed it and shook it, and the flames came out. And I went, yep, you got a short. And I turned around, and the brothers, they were gone because it scared the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I learned not to do those things because I've got insulated tools. All it's going to do, maybe, it was just a 120 outlet, so you might get some pebbles of copper, but you're going to redo it anyway. So
yeah, I know lots of guys that used to like to shove their tools into stuff just to short it out because that was the fastest way to learn what circuit was.
Yeah, it'll trip the breaker.
Yeah.
You get too lazy, you just go pow.
Yep.
Been there, done
Which
that.
circuit is it? Don't know. Let's just break the circuit.
Here we go. Boom.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah, and then you'll find out if the house is wired safely too.
I did that, I think, twice.
Mm-hmm.
I hit it, and it sparked.
Mm-hmm.
Then I hit it again, and it like welded together, and then it finally broke. That I was like, holy cow, I think you need to redo your breakers or something.
Yeah.
It's not working correctly.
Mm-hmm. Tricks of the trade are great when things are done correctly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find out that it's not a trick of the trade when you showed up to a house that's wired incorrectly and you stick the thing in there and now there's smoke coming out of something.
There's smoke coming out of some place in the house, like, uh-oh. Yeah, it's scary at times.
Yeah, you thought you were going to trip the breaker, but it turns out they have a fuse panel, and it turns out the fuse is blown and they got a penny in there.
I've seen that so many times. Well, since in Colorado, when I was working there, the whole basement of this one old lady's house, she said, my basement power doesn't work. Her husband died a few years back. And what we found is that he had run a wire or multiple wires up the telephone pole and hooked directly to the wires up there. When we looked at the wire, I think it was only 10 gauge or something coming in. It like if you've seen it, high voltage going through, or the voltage going through wire, it will crystallize like the copper and everything in there.
Hmm.
And it was all burnt, and it finally cut loose. So we got the I don't know if it was a company. We cut everything off so that she wouldn't get caught for 30 years worth of stealing electricity.
Mm.
But that guy had to have some balls to do that.
Mm.
That's crazy.
A lot of the countries that I travel to, you see that the vast majority of the population is just stealing power from the poles. It's actually really easy to do.
To me, it's scary because I know how much is up there.
True, but you also know the science, and it's just a matter of if someone wants to go up there and take it, they can.
They can, yeah.
It's very easy.
Yeah, I'd rather just do it with a coil around it and induce voltage.
There are methods that you can see when you're in these countries that they get very creative in how they transfer that power. It is not necessarily the standard methods.
Yeah.
Very creative and bold.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's like I see it from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty much the last ones out to make sure all the lights work.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me a gratification of completion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead of being in a job where you're just putting a part in one, just being on a massive line.
Right.
And just putting one part together. Didn't like that. But bid that.
I spent most of my plumbing career in an emergency service capacity. I was responding to people that, something went wrong, it wasn't really renovation or planned work. To me, that's different exchange with the customer because they want to cut you a check.
Yeah.
Inviting you to the house because they have a plan and it's a good plan and they want your, that's an amicable relationship. I didn't really get that often. I was showing up to people that are having a really bad day, worst day of their life as far as they're concerned. Now this happened, and how much am I going to have to spend? And so it's just a whole other paradigm.
One lady, what happened was her refrigerator outlet went out,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just going about, oh my God, what's going to happen with my food? I said, well, let me look at it and such. And then she was talking about how she's having such a bad day with this. And I told her, I said, well, yeah, I was here with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of slowed her bitching down a bit, but I got it working.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That was the part of my job that I actually liked was I really did like helping people and getting them out of that bad day moment. I loved that actually. And then the other benefit was all the different folks that I got to meet in all the different walks of life and all the information that I've been given. So back to our stories and how our lives incorporate these things. I had mentioned to you about piles of books. And I have said this to some folks, and I forget where, but I have a lot of books that were handed to me by customers.
Oh, really?
The day after I would have been Googling or discussing the topic with my good friend. And literally, I would exit a home with a stack of new books, call up my friend, and go, you're not going to believe it again. What? Some person just happened to have a bad flapper on their toilet out of nowhere and wanted me to come to their house to fix it. So I did. And we just so happened to get onto a conversation about the thing that we were talking about yesterday. And they just so happened to give me these books and say they think I might like them. And he would laugh and I would laugh and be like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, this
went on for years. Okay.
Oh,
so
dang.
There was a time in my life where I could tell you that I spent almost all day long reading.
Wow. I've had
information that other people gave me. And then now I have recollections going back to the reading in my dreams and people giving me books. And it's just like, wait a minute.
That's where I think that probably our connection is me. I do a lot in my night job.
Mhm.
I need to read about things here. I could, like I said, I witnessed a plane coming in the atmosphere, turns up, flips a switch, gets high voltage to leading and controlling edges,
Mhm.
and it just goes into a dull glow.
Mhm.
I'd like to know more about that technology
Mhm.
and what type of material they use to get it to do that.
Okay. For the distribution of the electricity.
Yeah, and I know something that it's Bucky paper. It's where the carbon particles are all aligned, and it's like 1,000 times stronger than steel and highly conductive.
Okay.
And they show some of the like house. They made some of this. I don't know if it's paint or whatever, and they took oil and threw it around it. Nothing stuck on it. Not one thing. It stuck on the wood that was painted, but not it. The
Mhm.
guy stepped in oil in his boots. He had it on his boots. Nothing stuck. I thought, well, dang, that's pretty good. I don't know if it's the same type of technology. That's what they were focusing on.
Technology is interesting because it can be so complex. Most technologies do more than one thing.
Yeah,
And then most efforts that they put towards technology being able to accomplish something, they're not going to stop at just that technology to accomplish that mission. They're going to want to be able to skin that cat 6 ways from Sunday. So just
and they do.
something with technology, don't even start to think that that's the only technology they have for it. Whatever that technology accomplishes, there's going to be 5 other techs that do the same thing. And then every one of those techs is still going to be multifaceted.
Yeah, and it's with most all technologies. They can do certain things,
Mm-hmm.
but then they can be used in many other ways.
Right. Like the HARP systems are,
Oh yeah,
they're
yeah,
presented as doing one thing and, potentially studying a couple other things, but no, it's a multifaceted technological wonder.
yeah. I wrote down a couple of things that I was going to talk about. I know that they have abilities to create holograms.
Mm-hmm.
What I was told in my night job, they said, watch out for the 7-position laser. In other words, you could put within a city
Mm-hmm.
7 lasers. I think they're about 51 degrees apart.
Okay.
They do not shoot the laser at a pinpoint. Each one of them spreads out to create, let's say, a dragon. Okay, you've now created with a laser the dragon. You can make the dragon spew fire and it can vaporize people because you're manipulating those lasers to show that. And most people probably have a heart attack. And I was told if I was inside the circle,
Mm-hmm.
look behind you and start finding the points. Because once you get rid of one point,
Mm-hmm.
it goes down exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
It needs them all. Because they could go with laser and just blow everybody apart, but you give away your position
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to see the laser. So it's just done in a larger way.
Mm-hmm. And added sleight of hand for plausible deniability.
Yeah. Oh, it was a dragon. Wasn't us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was one thing that I see or was shown that's going to either corral or scare the hell out of the public.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now with another one that I had, this guy had a helmet on and he had what looked like a backpack and hard, which if you had a backpack of maybe a jetpack and then it had the bars down to hold it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I watched these soldiers come in, sit down, and they pop loose from the backpack the communications is in their helmet, but the one guy says we can fly right within your door, your window, if it's open. I went, holy cow. And I'm thinking, how am I going to steal one of these? And that's how in my dreams, I get shown things like that and I want to know more.
Mhm.
But that's part of the things I saw for technology.
There's a level of precision for the military that people don't understand. And I hate to break the news to everybody, but when they talk about like accidental damage and stuff like that nowadays, and we didn't mean to do that to those people, it's a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
That vision that they have, you know, I mean, I've been privy to systems that I know can leave a platform, travel hundreds of miles, and then if they wanted to hit your home, not only could they decide which window they want the device to enter in, they could decide which window pane on that window that it enters. That's the level of precision that they have now. But, you know, and they'll say smart weapons and smart bombs, and because they try to, you know, tout that, you know, there's some return on investment, you know. But then, you know, the split second there's any war crimes occurring, they try to talk about, you know, it's just collateral damage and it's a, you know, it's an accident of war. No, you absolutely, everyone right there that got hit, you meant to hit because that's how this works.
They have the technology that to pick and choose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just like you said with the dragon story, it's just another way of taking people out under some other pretense.
And it's to scare.
Right.
If you could do it with fear, it's more effective, because fear is it's a lower vibration, if you want to call it. Like if you walk up on a dog and you have fear, it'll start barking. It's not that the dog smells fear, it's a frequency. We exist in frequencies. And that's what Tesla said, is you should look at the universe as light and frequency and how they come together. And I've seen it was like it was a vibration and light, and it was ohm. That's what I heard. And it was just pulsing, and I could see the light waves and the ohm. It was creating matter. And that's how it was in this frequency. That's why all the meditation, they do ohm over and over again. Well,
it's powerful.
Back in the 70s, my friend's dad was CIA, and we walked in and we grabbed his briefcase, and he could open it, his kid. And he goes, look at this. These are light waves. And you could see like they are arced a little bit. The picture or the waves were on a slate. And I go, wow. And what I was thinking is that they were using it for maybe some way of cloaking device to see how the waves of light work. But that's back in the 70s. And it was, to me, it was like, wow. Okay, what's next?
Yeah, there's so much technology that's been around longer than the general public has been privy to.
Yeah, and then what I can see in movies, I can see the technologies move around. That picture I sent you was, it was, I couldn't blow it up too much, but in the movies, I can pick out smaller objects. It was like a small triangle, and it had lights on it. I saw that in The Predator. Predator was made in the 80s. Then I went because I went through hours and hours and hours of movies to find all these, let's call them anomalies. Well, the one in The Predator is the very same anomaly in Stargate, when that one guy was brought back to life and he's going back to talk with Ra, and he opens the curtains, he walks in. Within that room, that very same it looked like a small triangle with 3 lights on it.
Hmm.
These things hop so fast you can't see them.
Okay.
And that's
Interesting.
and it, like the one you talked about, the drum
Yes.
with yeah. If you look at True Lies, where Jamie Curtis is in a limo, you will see, just if you could find a way to go frame by frame would
Mhm.
be great. You can, what I saw was a looked like 50-gallon drum, but maybe 2 or 3 of them put together.
Mhm.
It just blinks in and he's gone.
Mhm.
And when Arnold's flying the jet, you could see it around him. So they're monitoring. This technology has, and I've heard this from military guys say, we monitor every square meter of space from here to Mars. I don't doubt it.
Mhm.
And so then you start looking at that airplane that vanished, disappeared. What was it, a Filipino Airlines?
Something like
MH370, yeah. It can't disappear.
Mhm.
They know where it is.
Mhm.
And that's part of it. Sometimes I get upset. Oh, well, I was at Montauk the day JFK Jr. was killed.
Oh.
I yelled at him because they opened the doorway to under the ocean.
Mhm.
He did not hit the surface. He hit under, because that's what they opened the doorway from here to
Mhm.
under. So he flew right into the water at his speed to
Mhm.
make sure there would be no survivors. He was assassinated. It wasn't, and the thing is, I was there at Montauk yelling at him because I worked on that stuff.
Well, anytime you wish to clarify on your time at Montauk and specifically things being under the water there, please don't hesitate, because that's one of the things that I'm trying to impress upon people from my experiences is that there's a lot more facility underneath there than people think. It is not unoccupied. It is not closed.
No,
I have friends and family on Long Island still that are reporting to me that right now, Camp Hero, Montauk proper, is getting new hatches installed in the places that were previously concrete sealed up for years. That's happening right now.
yeah.
So
Now
that's not nothing going on.
exactly. And then there's some, I think they still have high powered, I mean, some real high powered wires going into them.
That I found out myself 100% through the Freedom of Information and request as a local person who was at the time paying. So the utility just has to confirm that someone's paying that bill besides me. That it's not part of my bill. It's not distributed into mine. And I can tell you it's a gigawatt meter.
Oof. Yeah.
Gigawatt meter on the side of a shack.
It looks run down.
Yeah, power comes across, pole, hits the shack, power goes in the ground. Gigawatt.
Yep. Now that's
I know of multiple locations on Long Island like that. I have found, I mean, Long Island is a very developed community. So when you have in the middle of completely developed areas, when you find an area that's a nature preserve, because for years no one's allowed to build there, so it's called a nature preserve. But oddly enough, there's always a massive power substation outside the preserve that has a huge power line and comms that'll go into the middle of the preserve and into the ground.
and I think, yeah, people should, because if you're not there,
And they'll say you're crazy. What do you think? There's underground tunnels? Kinds of conspiracy theories about these properties on Long Island. And
it's not.
I would say, no, actually, it's not crazy, because you know what? I've actually been in the tunnels. I've actually found them. You can
Oh, really?
underground facilities on Long Island by just following the utilities.
I would like to go there
Mm-hmm.
because there's certain places that I've been. Like
Mhm.
I was there in the 40s
Mhm.
And naval intelligence was in control of the information underneath Camp
Mhm.
Hero.
Yes.
And when we would pop up, I remember Preston Nichols. He was the
Mhm.
engineer. And that's all I can remember. I've seen other people,
Mhm.
but underneath was naval control because
Mhm.
of naval intelligence. Always, naval intelligence always wanted to keep their information.
And it's interesting that you're saying that because I have for the most part heard people talk about how often Camp Hero would change hands for its leadership. But my mind, I think, goes more in the direction. I think the Navy actually ran it the entire time, 100%. What would just sublet it to other folks?
Yeah, I would say that they had the technology and the if you want to call it the clearance, they had high tech stuff going on.
I think because of the underground and underwater capacities of that location, it's always been naval.
Yeah, because that's what I've always known when I worked
And they
with.
just go deeper. If they want to talk about this, like, oh, the Army's running it. They're on the top, apparently. They're up.
They're up on
Correct.
top.
Yes.
They're not down. It was always naval intelligence that
Mhm.
I knew.
That's the way I'm thinking of it.
And at times, I know about the base back of this mountain. And at
Mhm.
times, I want to get up and just go see if I can find it.
Mhm.
I went out there one time and I knew I wasn't close, but I saw
Mhm.
a water line come up and was exposed and was spraying water on a tree. And it made the tree really nice and crystally because it was
Mhm.
so cold, had
Mhm.
icicles. I went, what's the water doing out here? Because I hiked into it.
Mhm.
It was quite a ways. And there was a water supply that was quite strong pressure. Where's
Mhm.
it going?
Mhm.
And around here, I've heard people say they've been around the mountain in the backside and saw part of the mountain open and military around. I've seen the military
Mhm.
in camos and stuff. I've
Mhm.
seen them back there. I've
Mhm.
never seen anything open physically.
Mhm.
I've seen technology in my night job and been around, but very limited. They they try to airbrush or they try to erase a lot,
Mhm.
and I know that's part of my
Mhm.
job or whatever you want to call it.
I'm finding the erase part. I'm not discounting your experience at all. Just adding to the fact that we may want to consider um, that it's not so much the removal as the replacement of information in your head. That they tweak things so that it's a hair,
Yeah,
just like the read. Like you said, dreaming about reading. It's like you're right. It is weird, but it's also a hair off. Technically, I think. Right?
there's a lot of things that I've understood that my mind can't comprehend,
Mm-hmm.
and so in my nighttime, I
Mm-hmm.
will have these dreams that are really kind of odd. Then in the daytime, I'll be walking or whatever, but I'm trying to figure out, okay, what was that? And I realize some of them are trying to tell me something that my mind can't grasp yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if I keep going over in my mind, I'll see like a breakthrough in the consciousness of my consciousness to
Mm-hmm.
understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I look, well, okay, this one just popped into my head. This one, I cannot understand it. And it had to do with Sam Kinison. 3 days after he died,
Okay.
he was he was walking with me,
I'm
and
wondering right now how many people know who Sam Kinison is, but that's fun.
and he pretty wild guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're walking on the quote other side, and everybody is saying, "Who is he? Who's he?" And I'm thinking, are they asking me or him? We get to this little area, it's a grassy knoll, kind of like, and he grabs me by the shoulders, and he said, "I died to make room for you." And to this very day, I have no idea what he means. That's to me, it gives me chills.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Now, since we're on the, let's say, actors or comedians such, I worked a great deal with Robin Williams.
Oh,
Yes.
good
When
for you. I think he was a kind soul.
he was extremely intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
extremely.
Mm-hmm.
When he died, a friend of mine who was open, she was saying, I'm going to call the police. I know he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't think that would be a good idea because your career would go bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
I am with other people from other, if you want to call it actors or people that are well known, that are doing the same, if not more, than what I'm doing. And it's almost like I've seen them in the training itself in my night job.
Okay.
There is some I really don't like, and I don't know if I don't think it'd be right to present it. That would, I can say one. I think I can say this. Maybe I might get thrown in jail. Are you up for it or?
It's your call. I mean, it's Michael, you're telling me your experience, and I have
Okay.
no fears of your experience. If it causes problems for you, that's your call.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm here. I
mean,
don't care.
I appreciate the whole celebrity thing. I have no doubts in my mind because I do believe that these people do not get these privileged lives by the effort they're putting out. I think they're selected and molded and formed and trained and programmed, and that any type of investment in them, people want a return on that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Time.
And in this one, I think it was the first. Did Donald Trump? He wanted to run for president before. I think it was a few years before he ran.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I don't follow politics too much.
Mm-hmm.
But how my night job works is I go to sleep and I'll wake up somewhere, and I can feel if I feel coolness and physical stuff. I'm physically there.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to sleep. I woke up. There was two men walking me to a baseball diamond that looked like maybe a college baseball diamond, a nice field, not way better than a high school. He had an MP5 machine gun, which is used for personnel protection or close in fighting. They walked me up to Hosni Mubarak, who was the president of Egypt, and he's dead now. And he asked me to kill Donald Trump in his plane. And I said, I don't do that work anymore. So maybe you could find someone else. And that was it. I was in on Facebook, a time travel group. And all of a sudden this one person pops up and said, Donald Trump in another timeline was killed in his airplane. I immediately thought that's a military trolling me. So I ended that group real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I see like at night, and it's kind of like, okay, this guy is not so good, or he wants this done. And another one was Chris Christopherson.
Mm-hmm.
We came to each other in my night job, and I just stood there looking at him. He's about an inch taller than me. I think he's 5'11". He had videos of me, and I thought he was going to let me see them, and he destroyed them in front of me.
Hmm.
I didn't have a good feeling with him, but other actors and rock stars and stuff that I've seen, they're playing, it's like they're the good guys and there's the ones that you don't want to hang with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopefully, just by me saying someone that's in that capacity to start to speak out. I don't think we have much time to dilly-dally
I agree.
because the earth is moving, and if you look at the world right now, we need different technology, and it has to be released.
I can't begin to try to explain the complexity of the big picture and factions and timetables. There's a lot of fighting going on, is really what people need to be aware of. It's worse than they think. I do believe we're in World War III, and it's the battlefield of the mind, so to say. But I think we're going to get into technologies and timelines and stuff, and it's really, there's a huge conflict coming. I guess for a while, in my mind's eye, I had dreamed that for years, I would be able to communicate to people, get information out there, and hopefully stop the conflict and pain that people are going to go through. I believe I can't accomplish that. I believe that I've tried to communicate to people that things are getting worse. But I think it's, I've been a street kid. I've looked around and I've known that feeling someone's about to get sucker punched. And
in a big way.
Yeah, and I never liked someone getting sucker punched, it's getting hit when you don't know it's coming. And man, it's too late. People are going to get sucker punched hard.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to explain to people because they don't even comprehend the level of, if you want to call it evil or ignorance, of what humans will do.
Correct. They don't believe that it exists. That's a big problem.
That scares the hell out of me because they're totally clueless of the ruthlessness of some people.
They don't get it. They have no idea the limit of evil that exists. They do not believe that when they're walking down the street holding their child's hand, that technically there's someone walking down that street that wants to eat their kid.
Yeah.
Believe that exists.
Yeah, there's actually videos showing people grabbing children from their mother's arms. This is how far we've gone in the downward spiral. It's like, my God, they're trying to steal people out of the kids. They're just trying to steal because they're worth so much money for whatever reason. That scares me.
Yeah.
No.
I would like to see all of this stuff end with the least amount of problems and damage for folks, but I don't see it happening at this point. There's too much momentum.
Yeah, and I think by just speaking out, just for me, it gets it off my chest.
Yes.
For one,
I think either way, it's still important. It's still completely important, right? Because just because you can't prevent the sucker punch, doesn't mean you can't be in the fight.
Yeah, and it's like
it changes things.
Here's what I can share, and it's happening every night. It's not going to stop. I know that, but if I can look back and remember things that may be pertinent to what's happening right now, then I'll do it, whatever it is.
I think you're going to make a lot of connections for a lot of people because you and I haven't even spoken that much, and already there's so many ideas and cogs in the machine that are interconnecting. I can only imagine. I mean, I've gotten positive feedback from the last video as well. It's gotten a lot of views and a lot of people responding to it as well. So I do think there are connections being made. I think it's fantastic, the information that you have. I think you're like me, where you have kind of a sea that you're swimming through and trying to figure out how to make the connections and communicate it is actually the greatest challenge, is taking all of that life experience and now trying to figure out how to explain to people in a way that, I'm thinking of the movie the network. From
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
important and my life has meaning.
There was another thing I was going to tell you about. One time I was walking into Walmart
Mhm.
up north a bit, and this guy came walking up to me, puts his hand out, says, "How you doing, Michael?" And I looked at him, kind of squinted, like, "Who the hell are you?" He immediately turned around and walked away.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else"?
Mhm.
Well, I would say a standard operating procedure, if you know me from a project
Uh-huh.
and I don't know you, I'm still in the project, get away quick, because I was starting to put his face together.
Uh-huh.
And you start really pulling that in and say, I've seen you before. And he walked away quick. So these things happen.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just,
Little
to me, it's like,
visitation here and there.
it's like part of my life.
Mhm.
I've lived in the waking state, pretty much a low key life. But when I go to sleep, that's when a lot of things happen.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think I fly under the radar
Mhm.
here in
Mhm.
this waking state, but I've experienced it a great deal in my night job,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I'm sure there'll be a time where the memory, I call it memory cap. If
Mhm.
it's broken, then you literally can put everything together,
Right.
and that would be great.
That's kind of where my mind is at too. I can feel what you're saying there.
Yeah,
Also trying to do is I feel like I'm picking away at that lock, so to say, by making connections. I do believe that we can force ourselves to remember by just going through the motions and having these conversations. And
yeah,
each brick, starts to make a structure. And as I get, more bricks built and structure forms, I mean, things are making more sense for me. Um, I hope it makes more sense for you too. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I say that you say that don't necessarily make sense to other people because it's not their experience. I mean,
yeah.
their life experience won't necessarily make much sense to me because I didn't experience it. So they could tell me things that I'll go, I don't quite get that, but it's your life experience.
That's yours. And
But what I'm learning now is that I have a very unique life experience that's making more and more sense and just making it more and more unique.
and being a craftsman in plumbing,
Mhm.
I would bet you've been used in black projects.
I'm getting that from a lot of people that are associated to things, and they're saying that that I don't even really appreciate my skill set in these programs.
Then, because I'm used that way. I'm an electrician. They'll pull me
Mhm.
out, have me do electrical,
Mhm.
and so and when I'm out, they have to feed me.
Mhm.
I got pieces and parts and such. Now, I know that my timeline is not linear.
Mhm.
Things I'm working on may be future or past, or from the perception of a regular person.
Correct. Correct.
Here's one that I'm in this, um, like a kitchen,
Mhm.
but it's underground. And they had a buffet sitting out there. I had fried rice, salad, and I was looking at either hamburger or chicken. The hamburgers were cooked just the way I like it. And I'm standing there just looking. This person comes up next to me and says, Michael, uh, I could persuade people. You just need to know your gift. I looked, and it was Adolf Hitler, very young, with impeccable, like his hair was not out of place at all. Everything was perfect. He was groomed really well. And I watched him walk away. And I thought, well, that's pretty good advice for someone like that. Then in another dream sequence, I was talking to the Americans, and they wanted me to kill him in the bunker? And I said, no, because to me, his what do you want to call it? He was taken out when he either went to Argentina or Antarctic or whatever. So to me, he was taken out, so I had no reason to kill him.
Mhm.
And that was, of course, I'll go on and Google the height of Hitler, and I think he was 5'11". And in that exchange, he was taller than me to about that much. So these things, I don't have, it's like, to me, there's no good and evil. There's just an expression that this consciousness is learning about.
Yeah, and there's a lot of relativity to perspectives of things on good and evil that can get very heated very fast. But depending on what side of an action you are on, you may see it differently as good or evil.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what was it when we got invaded by Japan?
Mm-hmm.
You can consider that evil. Now, look what we did to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We were the first country to use nuclear capacity.
Right.
We vaporized everything in the area, every living thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a perception
Correct. Mm-hmm.
of us and them.
Mm-hmm.
While on which I'm very lucky, I get to go to different frequency of beings. And I've seen multiple beings that are not human, but they project love. And it's hard at times for me to be here when I see such chaos,
Mm-hmm.
when I know on a higher level or higher consciousness, it's all beautiful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is the many times I've wanted to end it all and say, I'm out of here. It's so much crap. But
I go to a healer here in town where I'm at that I work with. Fantastic. She's very helpful. I would recommend if in some way you can try that as well. We can have a conversation on things like that. But I see her and she has a great skill set. And one of the things that she informs me is that she expresses that she understands my challenge here and now. Because she tells me that she goes, you've seen really, really, really amazing things. She told me, she says, you've seen the creator, you've been connected to source, and you know that. She goes, but you have been disconnected. She goes, so that's problematic for someone like you, because there's a lot of people that are looking for that connection. They've never had it before. And they're striving for it. And there's the problems that come with that. She goes, you're different. She goes, you have more of a strive and more of a problem. She goes, because you have seen it and connected to it.
And it's like everyone on the planet, like a collective consciousness, they still think God's somewhere out there. This does affect every being. I mean, I was told to move out of the Bay Area because the consciousness there couldn't handle mine. And I would die because there's no one to talk to. So when I came here, there's a great deal of people, like I say, healers, that I can speak with and work with to keep and open my consciousness more and more.
Yes.
And it's not easy.
It's right back to resonant frequencies.
Yeah.
The stronger rhythm will try to pull the other one into it so that they become,
synchronized.
In sync. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is purely natural. This is why these city environments and all this RF and all the negative thoughts that people have are machinations of manipulations through technologies with the application of techniques to get the desired output signal.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they do it.
we are in mind control right now, and this is why I said this not for nothing. The sucker punch already happened. That's really I should reword my fears. The sucker punch already happened, and people are too dumb to realize it.
That's so true.
They're on the floor.
So true.
They're on the floor getting choked out because they're
And they still
told to be afraid of a future technology that may do this to them. So they don't actually know they're in the fight right now. The technology is already completely applied. If you want people to have a negative mindset, all of the technology right now exists to wake up in the morning, turn a machine on, and do that.
And Montauk was a big one with their antennas and such.
Yep.
Here's one, if you want to look at what I call it, a PSYOP. And it's all the cars now. Look at their front grille. Okay. Now, when you're going down the highway, you look in the rear view mirror only to see, okay, is just for a split second. You as consciousness may not pick it up, but your subconsciousness does. Most of the grills on cars today look angry. So you will look at this. It is designed that way. That's why we have road rage.
Totally understood.
Yeah, that's just one.
These are mind wars. Literally, these are the techniques of the battlefield of mind that people are not paying attention to. It's
everywhere.
Right. These are the shots that get fired. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, you can turn on a Sage radar tower and pump out power to a frequency and manipulate people's minds at a distance. You can do V2K. Yes, all of those things can be done and are sinful, but not necessary. They're a more expedient way of getting the same thing that you want that they have been doing for decades through tweaking the environment and the information as it's disseminated. You know, choosing the power of the edit as to what goes on that television and gets pumped out into an environment is
and that's why they call it programming.
Right.
What they're programming is minds.
If they wanted everybody to be happy, you would turn on the TV and there'd be puppies running in fields.
Yep.
That's
how simple it is.
It's that simple. They could put on programming that would make the entire world blissful.
Yes.
But yet we don't have puppies running in fields on televisions.
That is exactly true. It's amazing how little it takes.
And they're like, oh, well, nobody would want to watch that. Really? I think the internet shows that a lot of people spend way too much time looking at kittens and puppies.
I'm an animal lover, so I love to watch any kind of interaction with animals.
Wow, I just nailed that one, huh?
There you go. I just love
so
it.
It's like, you would not be complaining if you turned on your television, you were like puppies, kittens, flipping through the channels. There's nothing but puppies and kittens on.
No, I'd love it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And people know, there was this one, just a house down the road, and I walked past it, and they've got a Mastiff or a big dog. And his name is Zap, and so he'll hear me, so he'll start barking, and I say, "How you doing, Zap?" And then he'll just kind of like look away, like he didn't see me. He wants to bark at somebody, but I know him, and so he'll stop barking and kind of look away and bark at somebody else.
Mastiffs love their jobs as head of security.
Oh yeah, and they do it well.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, it's nice. He knows me. He goes, "You're not a threat. Go ahead."
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun.
The one of the topics that you said that you wanted to discuss was some of the ships that you said that you've been on.
Oh, well, I could talk about some. Okay. Let's go with what I thought it was. Of course, I go to sleep, and the next thing I know, I'm in a ship. It has a chair in the middle, and it has openings. It's not really confined.
Mm-hmm.
You slide your arm through this like cotton sock, and same thing with your legs, because this type of ship, when your hands go into like a handprint, and it's just like in concrete, you push them in, but these are controls.
Okay.
And when my hands, if I turn this way, the ship goes that way. And if
Okay.
I do this, the ship goes that way.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first time I've noticed being in this type of ship. And I call it pulsing, because ships have created a bubble reality, a zero mass field.
Mm-hmm.
Inside you only feel 1G, and you could move this field by releasing electrons faster than the speed of light. But so what I wanted to find out was how much power it has. So I started pulsing it, doing very strong maneuvers, and within a few seconds, alarm went off and stated you can't pulse anymore. It'll stop you until it can regenerate the amount of energy you needed to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
When I did that, a voice came over which I had a helmet on. He said, "Stop that, or I'll put you back in the secret, what was it? The Warrior program?" I forget what he said. And I started laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were to go out and look under, there was someone either crashed or whatever in a ship, and we were to just float over, and we each had lights on, and I was kind of floating underneath a guy, and alarm went off that we were not synchronized in our magnetic field, so I had to pull away. And that one, I think, was like a retrieval of people. Like you'd have a Chinook helicopter to get more people on board. It's really not that fast. It's designed for that. Now, when I was in Colorado, this one was even larger, and it had a compartment that was all military standing there. I looked at probably 40 people, and they were all just out. They were not conscious. Another tall guy was running around trying to find a way out. I was sort of conscious. I wasn't really highly conscious right there. But I knew the guy that was running around in fear, I knew he knew more than me. He was more conscious because he's about shitting his pants. We went around, and I looked at the military. Of course, their faces are always airbrushed out or gone. And finally, there was a door, opened the door, and I could feel the heat of the sun. And there was a woman interpreter that looked human, and they had another woman that had these, I mean, really strong veins going up the side of their head that looked purple. And I didn't know it at the time. We were supposed to go in this building, and blacked out, gone. I came out of the building, and I saw a little kid playing in a little river, but it was concrete. So I went up to him and I said, "What planet is this?" And he says, "It's MK12. And I said, "Well, I'm from Earth." And there was a guy up on a building looking down. He goes, "We're going to have to keep an eye on you." And that was just one. But when I was looking down, I probably saw 100 people going into what looked like a hangar
Mm-hmm.
to get on the ships and go back home to wherever. And that one got my attention because I think what they did was take genetic material, whatever, for me, and intermix with other beings. Now, I've been in other crafts. I actually woke up in it. There's a bed in the craft, and I think there was a German one. And I walked up the stairs. There's a guy standing here, to my left, and this guy sitting down, I assume pilot, and all I see is a bunch of white light or different colors going across this window that I was looking out of. Then it stopped to going about 5 miles an hour. It went from high speed to 5 miles an hour. I literally put my hands out, waiting for the G-force. There is none. The guy started laughing next to me. In these craft, and which I would like to say, a lot of these people that are speaking about crafts and they've only got 89% of the mass taken away, that's disinformation. They have zero mass. Even the Germans had that.
I think what winds up happening in these circumstances is there's two different technologies being discussed. There's one that provides the lesser, and there's one that provides the total. They're just different systems.
It could be, but in what the Germans had, zero mass.
Right, anti-gravity. Yeah. Yes.
It's not anti-gravity. It's like it's an entire reality, and like
Follow that. You're creating. You're creating.
Yeah.
You're separating yourself from the physics of the environment that you were in before you turned on the technology.
Yeah.
Cutting.
And I would say, like the LA, when they were shooting at something back in the 40s.
Yeah, the Battle of Los Angeles.
Yeah. That would probably have been a soldier, probably German. And you cannot take a particle from one field of existence to another. It will follow its own, because it would be like, okay, right now I open up my field. The Higgs boson field, which is what we're in, goes around it. So if you shoot a bullet to hit me, the space is going to go around it. It can't go past. It cannot enter that separate field. Okay? But frequency can. Because it's not a particle.
Okay.
See? And that's how, what I would say is like in Roswell, this is just, I haven't seen it in my night job or anything. They shot them down. They had frequencies and they shot them down. And they probably didn't want to have anybody know about any part of it. My guess is they had Germans with them, because I've been around a lot of small grays and other, which I thought they were German. So they've probably been working together for a long time. And one experiment, or I went to a planet, and I remember getting into it looked like a bus, but it was a ship. It had 2 rows of seats and 2 pilot, or two, probably pilot and co-pilot, whatever. This older lady sat next to me, and I was right next to her, and I looked up and I could see they had full face masks, and they had 2 hoses to their mask. I go, well, we came down towards Earth and we rotated over, and now I saw Earth like this, then rotated over it, and it was the ocean. And as we went towards the ocean, they didn't slow down. So I was like, I was backing up, fade to black. I woke up on a stainless steel, like a gurney, and there was 2 people, security, walking around me. And I was oscillating from consciousness to unconsciousness. I was conscious, kind of like out of body right there. And I was waiting for them to get closer to me. And as they did, they have foggers. And it's like a bear spray. About 15, 20 feet, it hits you, you lose consciousness. Lights out. So I grabbed the one that was close and I sprayed them. They just dropped. I busted out of the door and I saw a blue being, looked human, and a real dark black one. And there was looked like a American businessman. He was all pissed off and he would walk right by me. I shot down the hallway and jumped in the room thinking I'm trying to get away from him. I went into what looked like a mechanic's room, and there was the picture of the base that I was in, and I was underwater. It was an underwater base. And then I turned around and I had to laugh. They got me. You know. And they got creative. Instead of just brushing their face out, they had one, he had a squid on his head, and then there were octopus, and I saw the tentacles and stuff, just to joke around, I guess. So,
how often, or how many recollections or other thoughts do you have on the underwater base or bases? Have you been to them multiple times?
I can't recall if it's underground or undersea. That one I saw well, actually, yeah, what I saw was the blueprint of the base, the whole base, but it was for undersea. And I could look through, there was a window there, and I saw people in a white uniform, and they were testing what looked like this square or round. It had it was square, but it had a round, like an insert. That's the best way I could say it. And they were reading it. And I thought it's the power room or generator. But
hydrate. I had just recently gotten tapped to go film with a television show that's going to be coming out about UFOs, underwater bases, and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, these guys were very well researched on their end, and they shot me out on a flight over to a town here in Alaska, and we went, hunting for a secret underwater base.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Stuff. Yeah, it was really cool. We rented a boat and we went out and we with camera crew in hand and went hunting for an underwater base. So that show's getting cut and edited, and we'll be making it to television at some point.
Oh, that'd be cool. That would
be I'm excited about that one. Yeah.
Because I would like to go to certain places. And, me speaking out, I'm seeing less reaction. I think that it's time, so they're not jumping on me too much.
Yeah. I'm going in my mind's eye. I'm going to go with, I think I was an exceptional little kid that accomplished more than I thought. And I think I have apparently put myself in a good position to keep myself from getting in trouble from the people that did things. Haven't figured out exactly how I did that, but it seems to make the most sense. That I think that when I was youthful, I was privy to my antiquated self, that we communicated. I learned a lot of stuff, that would be very challenging for a youth to then move forwards with that in their subconscious. But regardless, as you would already know, in many other ways, I technically have all of the information inside of me that I need.
Yeah, and I think that it's needed.
I'm going in that direction as well, because from what I'm learning with these programs, how they function, these technologies, techniques, I apparently have important information.
Yeah, because with me, I thought they should have killed me a long time ago. Simply, I think I told this, I don't know if I told the full story. I walked outside or woke up outside. I was fully dressed, and there was a small, what I call homing pigeon ship. I thought I could control it. Well, I knew I'd done this 1,000 times, so I hopped in the ship.
Mhm.
Immediately, I tried to connect with my conscious. You can open your consciousness, connect to the ship, fly
Mhm.
it with your mind.
Yes.
That wasn't there. I was taken to a base just on the backside of the mountain. I went down the base in the hole and put me on, I think it was the 4th level. And then this like forklift thing came and picked me up, put me on the 3rd level. I got out of the ship and I started to walk towards the tunnel that was there. And I felt someone behind me. So I turned around and there was a small gray, but he had a fogger. I must be trained in self-defense and such. I immediately hit him, struck him. He fell to the ground, and I I tossed him into the hole. He just went down. I walked down, and when I'm taken, sometimes I have a portfolio that I look through as to what I've worked on. And so I had it this time, but I wanted to see what I've worked on. And I flipped it, and the first one was the bell ship, flipped it again, and there was what looked like a 50mm gun underneath one of the crafts. And I looked at it and knew that was my design.
Hmm.
And I went, closed that up, and that was the end of that dream or being taken.
Mhm.
3 days later, I wake up, it's all black. I'm sitting in a chair, can't move, and there's a woman calling me a murderer. And she kept calling me a murderer. I killed their scientist. Right now, or anytime I talk to people on the phone, I say, if you want me to come in to help with this stuff now, you must do it fully conscious, because obviously I don't have control unless I'm fully conscious of that self-preservation.
Mhm.
I could communicate.
Mhm.
So even right now, that's what I'm saying, is that you can't just bring me in half awake, because I'm gonna protect myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
And truly, I'm sorry, because I personally didn't know. I'm just thinking survival.
Mhm.
And that happens in a few cases where it's like whatever I'm trained in, it happens.
Mhm.
I'm not aware of it.
In a way, as you're saying this, I kind of almost am justifying it for you in my head, because I do feel there's strong emotion to my thoughts on this, that when you're in that environment, you are entitled to survive.
That's what I've been trained in, but
Yeah, there's something that's just, it's like, to me, it's like there is a at all cost to it even. I mean, in that environment, you are entitled to do whatever you can think of.
yeah, and it was instant.
Whatever could be thought of to your demise will be utilized.
And that did make me feel guilty,
Right.
because the lady came back and called me a murderer.
Mhm.
And I said,
Mhm.
if you want to bring me in fully conscious, and we'll work with however we want to work. Because
Mhm.
I'm seeing a lot of things in my night job. I'm working with beings.
Mhm.
And I would say that, and I had a real good one where I was sitting on a cloud. I'm just relaxing, but the cloud was grass. And I looked around it, and it was like, uh-oh, time to go back. And so I slid towards the edge, and it was just this black abyss. And there was a lady, her name is Gangaji. She's into self-realization and such. And she said, don't worry, we rise to the level of our own awareness. And so I just jumped in. She was trying to say the cream always rises to the top.
Mhm.
Don't worry about that. Don't get caught in any of that. And when I came back, it was like I'm falling, and I start laughing, going, "How can I fall? It's black. What's up and what's down?" And I stopped, immediately stopped.
Mhm.
And then Michael appeared. And then I appeared in a town. And then an airplane crash right in front of me. And I started to run over, and I heard my mom's voice saying, "Michael, what are you doing?" And I burnt my hands on the airplane. But it was like, you're not a first responder. So it's like, know what you're doing.
Mhm.
But it hasn't been harsh. I mean, physically harsh
Mhm.
in some time.
Hmm.
And I think it's the consciousness and what's happening in the world. It needs to be spoken. It's like I would like to, if I could, uh, even go so far as to show that we are not dense physical beings.
Mhm.
That we
Okay.
can do things, we can bilocate, we can walk through walls here.
Okay.
Here.
Okay. Mhm.
That's where I'm at, and I'd like to. And in my dreams, I keep saying, you need to remember your abilities. Don't let them go. Don't let anyone say any impossible doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Just takes time.
That would be one way of looking at it for sure. Like that would be a mathematical truth. In time, you can accomplish anything for sure. And that the Jedi skill is being able to do it without having to wait.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
the difference. Is being able to do whatever you want in any time is basically the skill set. And I would agree with you that in a way that would have to be possible.
Yes.
There is value to that. I mean, I have postulated and toyed with these ideas as well on an energetic level, right? I can have a thought, and I can take my hand, and I can pick up this glass, and through my intentions, I could drink this water. Scientifically, what makes my thought separate from the glass? Why do I need my hand to manipulate those molecules as the conduit of the movement of my intent? Why can't I just think the glass to my mouth?
Here's a good one then.
Oh, hold on, I just did it. Oh.
Here's one. I was sitting on my couch or the futon. Here's my little table, and I had an experience of being in every possible position from here to there.
Mhm.
To me, that would be like the what is it? Rosenberg, or what's the uncertainty principle? Yeah,
Eisen Rosenberg.
yeah. So I forget the name, but and then they had it in what do we know? What do the bleep do
What the
we
bleep
really
do we really know? Great.
Yeah,
great,
and they
great
talk about
offering.
we exist in all possible space,
Mhm.
but we've been programmed to manifest this body here because this is where I live, and
Mhm.
other people know I live here, which holds that consciousness to helps me be me.
Mhm.
This is what they would tell me well, I had to be accompanied in when I would go to the 40s
Mhm.
back in time, because I was so intrigued with the cars. They're brand new, but they're classics, you know.
Mhm.
They had to keep me focused upon who I really was back in time,
Mhm.
because no one in the 1940s knew that I existed. So that collective conscious, there's no Michael, any like records. And so that's why when they did the Philadelphia experiment, a couple of people lost their timelines.
Mhm.
and you pretty much can disappear. You just dissolve, or you can be locked into that timeline
Mm-hmm.
in the past. And then, of course, you're dead to this timeline, but you're living out your life in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I had to be walked through it each time.
This is me that I can put my brain in the direction, and I can accomplish a lot with the ideas of these time loops and things. But it's still challenging. It's very hard to make these considerations because you do get right back into that whole chicken and egg thing again. You know, so it's I don't know. There's the idea of like so back back to reading. If I in the past looked into my future, right? And if it turned out that in my future I wrote a book, but now in my past I saw that, did I self-inspire myself as an author? Because
Yes.
I looked in the future and saw that I wrote a book, but if I, did I then make that intent for myself that then became like, what the hell is going on there? But these are things that can happen.
Yeah. That's like a non-linear. You're not linear. So
not at all.
I've had one where I guess it was on a 4D level or higher dimensional level.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and tried to talk sense into my younger self. And there was other beings around me that
Mm-hmm.
helped with me connecting with my younger self. And I tried to explain, maybe you should do this and that. And he laughed because he was a know-it-all, which was me.
Mm-hmm.
And then my guides, or the beings who were there, said, see how hard it is? So look at how hard it is for us to get a hold of you. And I went, holy shit. Yeah. I need, I would say I need these type of conversations where it's not like, well, no, you can't do these things. Your mind is this and that, and that's it. So I literally need someone or to converse in a way that a lot of people wouldn't understand.
Right.
But I need it to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It's a must for me.
It's important to have peers. It's extremely important to have peers, and even just have the opportunity to have a free exchange of thoughts, even if you don't necessarily agree. I mean, that's how we grow.
Yeah.
Human beings is sharing our experiences. It doesn't even mean that we have to support them in any way, shape, or form, but it's respecting them. You have lived a life, and your life experience has value. And if I was to sit down and meet you face to face, I'm going to respect your life experience and listen and know that there should be something important in there that I could learn from, and vice versa. And it has nothing to do with me agreeing with you in your life, supporting you, like nothing. It's simply sharing experiences.
Yeah.
For the purposes of maybe gleaning something out of your experience that helps me in mine.
That's the way you're putting it is so perfect, because I've seen it when I'm sharing with someone, they can get extremely upset.
Yeah, there's a term for this that we used to have back in the day. We used to call these people neighbors, and we would, right? That's what happened back in the day. You had neighbors. They were different than friends, right?
Yeah.
Friends you totally agreed with and had lots of fun. Neighbors, they're not necessarily anything to do with you. That's the guy that lives next door to you, and he might be very critical.
Yeah.
He's got a life experience, and he's got a truth. And that's what we used to do back in the days. We had neighbors, and we would bounce things off of you. Come here, I want to talk to you about something. Something happened at work today. What do you think about this? I suggest people should start doing that more.
Yes. And I did this with a friend of mine. We didn't really see, it was hard to see in a connection.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard. And so I think it was a beer bottle, and I turned the label towards me, And I say, and I put it in front of us, and I go, what do you see?
Mm-hmm.
And he's told me the back of the bottle and stuff. I go, well, I see that it's cores or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, how come you can't see that? And he keeps talking about the only thing he can see. Then I up it and I say, well, can't you see what's wrong with you? Can't you see that that's cores?
Mm-hmm.
And finally, we got to like a connection to say, yeah, you see from your perception to the very same thing I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it may be information to me that's different than it is to you.
Correct.
As a child, I used to think of a red ball. And since there's colorblind people, I said, well, how, if I was to put it in between us, are you seeing the same color that I am? There's no possible way to say.
As a child, I was thoroughly convinced in my really, really formative years, I would stare in the mirror and I knew without a doubt, I'm the only one that sees me this way.
Yep. Yep.
I understood the science on that.
Yeah, well, see, that's,
With the red ball. Your red is not my red.
yes.
Do that. My face looks different to me than to you and to my girlfriend and to anyone I've ever met because it goes through their perspective of this environment and we do not share the view.
It does cause, if we take ourselves to be that,
Mm-hmm.
it can, because I know, for me, I know that today's Michael's not going to be the same Michael when I hang up here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like we're a river changing. But, and I, as a kid too, I used to say, I can never see what's behind me. I never can.
Mm-hmm.
I could take a mirror, but isn't that a projection? I thought, well, what is behind me? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's neat to hear that kind of concept or that they have that type of thinking, like with you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all our own perceptions
Mm-hmm.
and how we look at things.
Yeah, I think I retained that at a young age. I guess in the harshness of the environment as a kid, I guess I was still able to completely understand that things are not as presented. You know, that adults are not necessarily as intelligent as they portray or of as good intention. So even though they may know the truth, I learned that they weren't necessarily disseminating the truth.
I would say that with the children nowadays, don't teach them, you don't have your invisible friends are not real. I would say, why not learn from them? Because the things that kids say are so, to me, is amazing. And I can look into their eyes, and I have a great nephew, and I swear he's only 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like somebody that's a scientist. I can look in his eyes and go, my God, that kid knows a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have heard children give better descriptions for complex thoughts like the physics of reality, the complexity of the cosmos, how things work, how God interacts in the plan. I've sat down and listened to kids pontificate, spew on everything that they think they know about everything. And you know what? It usually makes quite a bit of sense.
Yes, and that's what
It's some sort of inherent knowledge that they have.
I see. It's
Or can
fresh.
access. Because I
It's
mean,
like-
the remote viewing programs, I mean, they taught us that there is like, Ingo Swann showed us that we could find information, we could know stuff without a way to discern how the person knew that. And I would suggest that these children, when asked the right questions to the right children, you're going to get the right answer.
Yes, and
Until those children's minds and accesses get ruined on purpose by the system, you could actually have great inquiries with children about what's going on.
Yeah, like the machine,
Mhm.
the consciousness on this planet and the devices and everything. I
Mhm.
call it the machine that constantly keeps everything down in
Oh,
consciousness.
and by the way, I don't want to pretend that I figured this out. I imagine there's evil people that actually figured this out a long time ago, that you can figure out which children are worth inquiring to.
I think so. Yeah, that's without a doubt
You know,
for me. Yeah.
yeah. Lest we go back to these big picture issues and why we're here talking. Yeah, kids have skills. Human
Yeah. And
human beings have more talents and abilities than we give them credit for or nurture.
that's the thing is we're not nurturing their talent.
Correct.
Some go this way, some go this way.
Mhm.
We're trying to conform them into a society that is failing as we speak.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely, because we don't even have to really get into the details of the failure other than to just simply go to least common denominator. We're failing the children.
yeah.
Human beings are being born on this planet into an environment that should not be this poor.
Oh,
Not at this stage of the game. The amount of mismanagement of resources is just blatant. It's just blatant.
yeah.
I mean, there's no way you can do the math and tell me that this planet lacks the resources to take care of every person on it.
I would say that we do not, we're doing it totally wrong.
There's nothing scarce. There's no lack of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we should respect the environment. I am not saying that we should butcher and destroy Mother Nature. I'm not saying that. We should live responsibly. But with that being said, we're nowhere near damaging the planet by our activities. That's a lie. There's no lack of resources, and Mother Nature can handle everything that we've thrown at her.
Yeah. And to recover and do different, I have some of that green algae
Mm-hmm.
around here in our ponds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked it up, and I looked at the algae and such, puts out 10 times more oxygen than a tree.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, does she know does the planet know that she's losing trees and replaces it with the algae?
Has a process for everything. The split second we become detrimental to Mother Nature, she will deal with us in whatever way she needs to, and this planet will always be fine.
Oh, the planet's, yeah.
Yeah, the planet will always be fine. What we
Yeah.
get mad at as human beings is when things get ugly because we made a mess. And we like to act like that mess is now somehow going to negatively impact the planet, but it's just not the case.
No, we're the ones that are going to go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a manipulation of the powers that be and the resource managers to have that belief system out there.
And
I
a
mean,
lot of,
remove those beliefs from society and think about, for a while, sit down, relax, have a beer, think about that. Let's get everybody to understand there's no such thing as scarcity. There's completely enough for everyone.
oh, yeah. Us here in America, how much food do we throw away?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes. It
Yeah.
could probably feed the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no probably about it. There's so much food production on this planet that goes into the waste stream for the purposes of the commodities market.
Money. Yeah.
Right. Let's not act like this is an accident. There's a reason food gets made to be thrown out.
Yes. Now here's years back, I think about 4 years back, I was with my earthly mother on a different level, but we were in a train in the locomotive and like the front train, whatever engine. There was a businessman sitting there, and we were discussing how food for profit cannot go on. And there was like a ripple that went through my dream time. It was like the source saying, pay attention to this one.
Mm-hmm.
Now you look at Monsanto and everyone, they tell you to plow under crops for more money. All of it is just, I mean, shark fin soup. I never knew how many sharks they killed just for their fins
Mm-hmm.
because of money. It has to change.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, there's
Can't
certain
keep going.
industries that they're almost, it's almost sinful that there's profit involved, so to say, when you look at how the market then gets manipulated, because, I guess the idea is that when you're providing a service, the idea is that you're providing the service because the purpose is to provide the service at value, not necessarily, like you're an electrician, right? There's a fair price for your service.
Yeah.
Straight up. Yes, you'd be an amazing businessman, and my hat would go off to you if you could somehow charge $1 million an hour for a service call. I think my hat would go off to you for being a shrewd businessman. But is that right for the world and the people you're servicing?
Yeah. There's a set, for me, there's a set price.
Mm-hmm.
And I do things for friends, that price is lower.
Mm-hmm.
I do things for contractors,
Mm-hmm.
it's higher.
Understood.
Because they're making money off of me.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably charge me out at a higher rate.
I think what people get confused with in the mismanagement of the goods on the planet is when we convert consumable goods that are tangible to non-consumable things like currency.
Ooh.
Right? Because technically, if we looked at that exchange, right? If we were paid in apples, okay? If we didn't have dollars and we got apples, the rest of the world would not tolerate billionaires with apple piles.
Nope.
Everything went to rot because they couldn't use it. It's a waste to sit on a pile of apples. It's a waste to sit on a pile of money.
Yes.
You're actually stealing resources and mismanaging efforts.
And here's the thing, that even society thinks being a billionaire is being successful. To me, success is when you're on a planet, or okay, let's just start with a state. In America, no homeless,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's fed, got a house. That's success.
Mm-hmm.
Community success.
Right,
Help
bringing
out.
everybody up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the billionaires and actually trillionaires, probably with the Rothschilds and such, are all they want is more, and more doesn't exist.
Right. We would all feel better if we all brought each other up, It's like in a family, right? If everyone's doing well in the family unit's doing better for it.
Yeah.
The person in the family is having a very difficult time, for the purposes of the family, it's beneficial that the family members help that person get back on the straight and narrow, and then it's, again, better for the family. And then that family now is in a neighborhood, and the same thing happens with neighborhoods. If one household is doing poorly, it impacts the neighborhood in the long-term time. And all, these are old communal things that we used to understand, like I said before, with peers and conversations.
Yeah.
Today, in World War III, where the battlefield of the mind, there's a technology being applied. It's splitting us all apart from each other. I'm talking through the technology, it's keeping us that distance. So yes, today it's beneficial, but you know what? I'm talking to you because I don't talk to my neighbor on the other side of the house. He's not a bad guy, but we just don't have this level. It's not a society that provides this amount of interaction. It just is what it is. But this is what everybody's tolerating as normal, as if it's not happening by intent. And so this is where I think guys like you and I are trying to show them that this is intent, that this is technology. And I mean, at this stage of the game, how many masks do you have to see people wearing before you realize your freedoms are completely under attack?
Yes.
It blows my mind now what's going on. The fury that people have over this BS that's going on is really absurd. Morning, if you want to walk out of your house and choose to wear a mask or not, do it.
And that's the thing.
If you're going to start trying to think that your opinion should be applied to someone else, jump off a bridge. That's what I think. So if you want to start telling people what to do and you think people should listen to other people's opinions on what they should do, then listen to what I'm saying. Follow your logic, jump off a bridge.
That's a really good one. I like that. Because I've noticed a friend of mine, he actually would post online that he doesn't wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And his friends that he knows, not just Facebook friends, would tell him they would beat him up because he's killing people.
I get verbally assaulted every time I leave the house. I don't wear a mask.
Really?
Yeah, I don't wear a mask at all.
You see up here, it's pretty lackadaisical. I don't wear a mask.
We have a tyrant mayor that's been very strict on enforcement of the regulations against the business owners. So the business owners are scared to death.
Oh, yeah.
Of losing their businesses. And they're scared of people like me because I'm not wearing a mask and I'm in their store and they're concerned that they're going to get dinged for my presence. I'm getting harassed all over the place.
Yeah.
I turned on the mainstream media the other day. My girlfriend and I were curious as to what's the state of the propaganda. I turned on the TV and I was watching a newscaster explain that that when you exit your home, if you're one of the people that chooses to not wear a mask, please stop harassing the people that do wear masks, as if that's the exchange going on.
Oh my God.
Right.
See how they twist things?
Yes, it is literally the opposite of what's going on. I go out in the world, I see people, 99% of them have masks on.
Yeah.
Maybe when I'm walking around Costco, I might see one other person without a mask on. We kind of do a little, hey, how's it going?
I've seen people, like one person in a car driving with a mask on. I'm like, that's like laying in bed by yourself wearing a condom.
I'm gonna one up you on this mask law.
Okay.
Here in Alaska, we got no helmet law for motorcycles, right?
Oh, cool.
You are allowed to ride your motorcycle without a helmet on and risk your life. Okay? That's your choice.
Yeah.
I like watching these guys ride around on a motorcycle. They have no helmet on, but they have the mask on.
Are you kidding?
That's genius.
Isn't it?
Yep.
You could. Oh, that's it. You could fall off the bike and die.
I'm so brave. I'm not going to wear a helmet.
But
the government says I have to wear a mask when I leave my house, so I'll follow that rule.
That is funny. That's a good one. That is amazing. Funny.
If I see a pack of Hell's Angels go by with masks on, that's it. I give up.
Well, I think Sturgis happened, and none of them wear masks when they went to Sturgis this year.
Oh, excellent.
And there's no second wave.
The news was announcing it the other morning when I put it on. The news was announcing the same thing with, please non-mask wearers stop verbally assaulting the mask wearers was what I was watching. And the constant barrage of they were promoting the obvious second wave that's inbound.
And how long have they been talking about the second wave?
I don't know. I turned on the TV for 5 minutes. I turned it on for 5 minutes and just went, I cannot watch this and believe it.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's amazing to me what you can convince people of right now, because they'll do no effort to look into anything on their own. They haven't read books. They're not going to do any effort to do anything other than take the information from the avenue they prefer and pump it out further. They're regurgitators is basically what my girlfriend and I refer to most human beings as right now is they're regurgitators. They'll tell you a repetition of things that they've heard from a couple of avenues of information, but they will never look into it themselves. And if you ask them anything about the facts that they're regurgitating, they don't really know anything.
Well, I had a friend that I've known for 20 years, and I just recently talking to him. You know, I worked on many jobs. He was a carpenter, and I was an electrician. We started talking about this pandemic and stuff, and how he went emotional to where it was like he was hyperventilating almost. And I said, okay, let's not go there. I can't believe how it brings up such emotion.
Yeah.
Same thing with this election. I see here in little old Mount Shasta, there was two groups fighting each other, yelling over this election. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's that state of mentality.
I think that something that the last 40 years have shown us clean and clear. Good luck thinking that your vote is the way to rectify this problem.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, I love the sound of that, you know, the voting booth and vote. You know what? Really? How's that working out for everyone?
Yeah. Look, since I've been alive, look back at, just look back.
Doesn't seem to work out so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, since I've been born, or I should say, being able to think, so to say, but basically from like 1980 till now, when you start looking at the top seats in politic body in general in our country, right? Not just the presidency. Say the presidency, the vice presidency, secretary of state, director of CIA. How many years have those seats been filled by a Bush or Clinton in some capacity?
Oh, I know. And even look at it.
And yet we're told that they're opposed to each other.
Yeah.
Different sides.
And everything fell in line as to, if you want to call it a program or process that they wanted. They just
kept saying, vote for me, I'm going to stop the other guy, or put me here because we're going to stop that. But it almost seems like they were working together, the Bush family and the Clinton family.
Yeah. And I heard that the Bush family was quite powerful.
Yeah.
And I do have dreams.
Ronald Reagan learned about how powerful they were, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I had a dream, and this is one of the times I realized, whoa, I must be there. We were at a cocktail party, and I had champagne, and there was this girl talking, a lady was talking to me about economics or whatever, and I just up and said, but you realize all this is coming to an end. And George Bush Sr. grabbed me by my coat, slammed me up against the wall, and said, you don't talk about that here. What freaked me out, I felt the power of being slammed up against the wall as physical.
Interesting.
Now, if I was in a higher level, higher frequency, it really doesn't, it's like no big deal. But I went, how am I feeling all this? Because when I go out.
Because you were intended to feel it.
Yeah. And I've been around them quite a bit.
You have powers as well, so do others.
I've been around the Bush family, the old man, George Bush, and then George Jr. I remember being with them when they were talking about mind controlling George Jr. I don't know.
Were they talking about how easy it was?
Well, here's the thing. That is, even under mind control, he couldn't get things right. And that's what the joke was.
Yeah, because the control of a bad mind, I mean, what's the value?
Yeah, it was a laughable thing, but they keep trying to put him under mind control. It didn't work. It didn't work.
I always like that fool of fool speech that he does. You fooled me once.
Well, and then I think there were some things that he said about Dick Cheney. He said, so I think he said, well, if he'll do this to me, just think what he'll do to you. That's a statement in torture to the quote victim.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fear tactic to say, well, he did this to me. Just think what he could do to you.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say that. That was programmed into him.
Yep.
But the only thing he probably would say right. But it was, in a way, it's kind of funny because I get to see certain things. But it's scary now that the populace is going down this road
Mm-hmm.
and they don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a brick wall. It's stainless steel and you're not getting past it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It got, and that's why I'm speaking out.
Mm-hmm. No, well, I appreciate it. I think people need to, really wake up. The fight is on. I do believe there are folks like us that are waking up, and I think it's fantastic. But, some of the stuff that I'm learning as of late too is that, right thought is good. But I believe right action is more important. It is first priority to have the right thought, but if right thought is not followed with right action, there's no point to the right thought.
I've had this with me for quite some time. If you're giving me so much information, why is it so hard for me to speak out? I knew at the time I had missing time and they would rough me up. I'd come back with, cuts and bruises, and it wasn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got to the place I wanted to speak out,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't time.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's like it fell together.
Yep. I agree.
And I know certain other people that interview that I try to listen to what they're doing. I listened to you before I even contacted you, how you speak. And so it was like, oh, this, to me, you speak, you're not influenced by the other person perception, and you have something to give back. And connecting with you has definitely put me in a different, not mindset, but a awakening.
Perspective.
Yeah.
I think talking to you has given me a much greater perspective of myself. So I appreciate our conversations. You've definitely helped me see things a bit differently.
Yeah, and it's mutual.
I've grown a lot since last time we spoke.
I have seen in my dreams, quite a bit about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then that connection, there was kind of.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That was good.
You
were
sitting there telling me that, and I said, I can't believe he's saying this right now. He's going to talk to me about breaking someone out of somewhere. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening.
So yeah, in a way, well, in the first time I was talking with someone new, but I couldn't grasp. I just talking with someone new.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next night was that one, I think.
Well, then let's go into that conversation then, since we're seemingly having a connection and some semblance of success. Here's the challenge where I'm at, since you're happy to go into that arena every evening. Previously, in my night job, I would say that I spent the vast majority of it breaching into places that had people that needed to be removed, brought out, rescued, not removed like removed, removed in a good sense. I was extremely effective at that, and as you can understand, in those environments, obstacles can come up rapidly and creative thought has to be applied. It's a very fast-paced, painful environment that I used to function very well in. As of late, I do not tell you what precisely changed, but it's as if I'm being put to the same task, but now with blinders on. So I get popped into that zone, and now imagine having to do the same thing just straight up. It's like now I'm trying to touch and feel around and get to something, and then all of a sudden I get whacked in the back or grabbed. I can't see. I can only just respond with like good luck. So basically, I spend a lot of time getting my ass handed to me at night.
I will, if you,
So if you see a dude in your landscape who's getting his ass handed to him, that guy out.
if you let me into your consciousness,
Uh-huh.
and I'm willing to go to whatever depths you have,
Mm-hmm.
and that means subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
I will only be shown things that can help you.
Fair enough.
And
that would be the only things I request
yeah.
or tolerate, or you're going to get my defenses. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah, so I'm willing to go there.
Cool beans.
And when you're willing and I'm willing, if it's feasible, maybe I can see what you go through
Maybe.
and then help you to traverse it. Because I've had beings that held me from behind, and I do not like that.
Fair enough.
So I use certain things to get them to go bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll do my best to look into that. That would be
Awesome.
great.
I appreciate your intentions and efforts across the board. I appreciate it.
Okay, then let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool beans. Yep. Works for me. I preferred things the way they used to be. It's part of communicating with you that I enjoy and appreciate is I have an understanding of what you're talking about when you're saying that you go to your night job. I can get that. You know, I would say I used to apparently have a better shift supervisors.
I think we could do something here.
Okay, cool beans. Yeah. I'm trying to see what else we got going on, because we have been chatting for a while. Oh, another thing, I guess, in the grand scheme of assistance, because I do have notes here that you said previously that you were trying to talk and you had a guide that said no. So you have a guide in the idea of helpers, healers, and guides and things like that, and me being an equal opportunity person for info. If you can talk to your guide about my circumstance and glean any information from that direction, I would also appreciate that, because it's a possibility.
They see that I work with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that will say, yeah, I'm available for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there've been some, but I think we've already connected.
Understood.
Yeah.
Totally understood. My inquiry simply being is that if you could ask your guide, is there anything I need to tell him?
Yeah. Okay.
I think something like that may provide some function.
Yeah, I've done this with someone, and it was something about one little fish, and I brought it up, and she went, "Oh my God, that's what I was called as a child."
Fair
And
enough.
so I have no clue,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hers, and I could show, the direction she was working.
Mm-hmm.
I explained to her how she was working at spirituality or within herself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll do that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean, these are the experiences that I think this is the value of talking to people. I'm not going to sit here and say, prove to me you have a guide. I don't care. That's your life experience. What I'm going to try to do is get value out of it, actually.
Well, yeah, and I've enjoyed even people in a chat room.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with more than, I'd say 5,
Mm-hmm.
which was really good for me to practice,
Mm-hmm.
because we're all frequency and consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to keep myself wide open
Mm-hmm.
to help.
Yeah,
because I do have knowledge.
The upcoming chat, I think, will be fantastic. That prior to Halloween event, it's going to be Penny, Sonny, myself. You're going to be on there. The other video that I did with Rumors of War, that gentleman, he's going to be on there. There's some other folks from the other direction that are going to be on this. There's going to be a whole bunch of folks chatting. I think that's fantastic for the audience. I think it's going to be fantastic for you and me and everybody involved.
Yeah, you get more people sharing at one time. It's like, oh my God,
Mhm.
it's a collection.
I don't know how familiar you are with Penny's work, but she talks about being a navigator on a ship as well and piloting. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that you're saying jives with the stuff that she's saying and a lot of the stuff that other people are saying.
Yeah, I heard her talk about when she was with the military and they're blanked out from their hips up in her memory. And I started laughing because I know when I'm with the military, they airbrush their face out of my memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could still see their uniform and I knew who they were. They were naval. But yeah, they blanked out the whole upper part for her.
Oh, just out of curiosity's sake, too, I forgot to ask earlier when you were telling the story about the dream where you went through the wall and then you had said that inside there, could you please repeat that? Who was in there? To your description, what did you see in there that you removed?
It was a being. It was a human being, but it was so, I couldn't tell what. I couldn't say any features or anything. It was just, I had to get him quick and teach him, you know, look, I could put my hand through this and then pushed him through. But it looked like there was a toilet, but it was only like it was an extremely small room. And when I came back out through the concrete, if I had claustrophobia, I would have lost it because it kind of pushed in. That was for me to test my abilities that I kind of been lackadaisical with. But yeah, it was just a being. It was just like he was slumped over, kind of not happy. That's what I picked up. He was like being put in a.
You might have accomplished more than you thought of already. Now that the more that I'm thinking about this, right? You just added a new detail to this story this time. Did you catch it?
The toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a toilet in this room.
Yeah.
Person that you see, that you're on the phone with, who's a plumber.
Oh shit! I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. That's
yeah. That adds a little more.
As soon as you say toilet to me, my ears perk up, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
So that's more confirmation.
I would say that there's something going on there.
Since you went back and you asked me again, then that I remember seeing it before I told you, but now it makes
That's
much
the first
more.
time you just said that detail to me.
Yeah. So wow.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna have fun.
Well, thank you for the removal first and foremost. I like to give credit where credit is due. So I imagine, and I had said to you, my dreams have improved since we've spoken.
So have mine.
They're not perfect, but I'm getting more vision technically. I can't lie. I've had some visual to the dreams since we've spoken, but not to my level of contentment.
We'll work that way because I need to practice too. I need to.
Those tricky bastards probably told me that toilet was broken and tricked my ass.
That's what it was. You went in there and fixed it.
This is yeah.
And they put concreted you in.
Something.
Huh. That is something.
Yeah. I think the end of our conversation somehow wind up being pretty profound.
Yeah, I know. Huh? That was really good.
I can't believe you said there was a toilet in there.
Yeah, well, and
I'm all I want to know is everything about this toilet, and I'm like, what kind of toilet was it? Was it all?
I remember, was it like a square?
Was it a tank and bowl or one
square? You know all the toilets.
I know. It's like I'm like, wait, what? Was it seafoam green or was it like?
It was white.
Now, like it was white.
It was or a tan.
Okay.
Tan color. Yeah.
Okay. Almond.
It could be almond. That's pretty good.
Wow, I'm really happy you said that.
Huh? And I'm sure it needed to be said. That's why you brought it back up.
I would imagine so.
For more confirmation.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was fun.
That was good.
Wowzers. Now I feel like taking a nap.
Just to go see what's going on.
Yeah. I'm like, where the hell is that toilet? I hate callbacks.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
Wow, that's good.
before we left, did we check for function? Was the toilet?
No, my
Damn
job
it.
was to get you. My job was to get that guy out of there.
I was on the job too long?
Yeah, I think he was on the job too long.
Oh,
That
that's
is funny.
Oh my God.
It's
Michael, I think
it amazes me.
conversation. We've been chatting for a while as usual, and I'm sure we could probably chat the whole afternoon away. But actually, I learned last time we spoke that a 2-hour video is actually really hard to process and get up. So that'll probably take me the rest of the darn day. And if I had an 8-hour video to deal with tomorrow, but
Oh yeah,
I really enjoyed this chat.
this was good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and we'll do it again almost ASAP as far as I'm concerned. We'll keep in touch and let's see what happens over the next few days.
Yes.
I'm free and clear, so let's pop up another video as soon as possible.
Let's see what happens tonight.
Absolutely.
It really, yeah. I get chills right now.
10-4. I'm an early bird, so I'll be in bed early.
So am I.
10-4.
Yeah, I still have that work. I got to wake up at 6. Have
Oh
coffee.
my God. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
6 to me is a late start technically.
Well, yeah. Back when I was actually working, it was 5:30.
Yeah, I got the last 10 years I've been doing a very harsh work schedule. 12-hour days, 7 days a week and stuff like that. And it's on a 6 to 6. So 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you wind up getting up early and just is what it is. Go to bed early. Yeah, I'm a 45-year-old ancient old man. I'm in bed by like 8 o'clock at night.
It's funny that this, and my neighbor, he's 70, and he says I'm taking a nap, and I can't take one because I'll be up all night. But I
Right.
say, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you get older, your body says take a nap or do whatever. Do it.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
But Michael, I am going to have a wonderful afternoon processing this and thinking about the things that we discussed and coming up with more questions for next time.
I think it's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be a blast. And I will get you the information over for the Penny event for when that stuff's going to happen. I'm just waiting to hear back as well. So we'll get filed in. And everybody who's watching, thank you for watching. If you could please click the like, subscribe buttons and share this video because it's basically up to me, Michael, and you folks watching to spread this word out there. It is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. Help us.
Yes. And thanks for having me on.
You got it, Michael. You got it. I'm happy to. All right. Have an excellent day.
You too.
So long, Michael.
See ya.